The stars were silent. The galaxy was dark and cold in this corner of space. In the middle of nothing, a small escape pod floated without power. It was old, damaged, and forgotten. Inside it, 2 alien girls lay unconscious. Their skin was pale, their bodies thin and weak. They had no clothes, no food, no light. Only darkness, fear, and silence surrounded them. Their names were unknown. Even they had forgotten who they were. One of them slowly opened her eyes. She was scared, confused, and freezing. She touched the side of the pod, feeling the cold metal. Her sister or friend, she didn't know which, was still sleeping. They were not from this galaxy, not from any place they remembered. Far away, a human ship passed near the broken pod. It was an old cargo ship named Hope Runner. Inside the ship was a man, Captain Ryler Creed. He was a former soldier, now a traitor. In dead zones of space, his scanners beeped, showing a weak signal nearby. He looked at the screen, frowning. Another dead pod, he muttered. Probably junk, but something didn't feel right. He turned the ship toward the signal. As he got closer, he saw movement inside. 2 small bodies, still breathing, barely alive. He paused, thinking this wasn't part of his mission. He should leave, report it, and move on. But then he heard his own voice whisper, "Bring them in." He brought the pod into his ship carefully. His robot assistant helped open it. The cold air hissed out, and the smell of death touched his nose. But the girls were alive, barely. He carried them one by one to the medical room, covered them with thermal blankets, gave them water and warm food paste. Hours passed. One girl finally opened her eyes again. She stared at the human man, afraid. He smiled gently. "You're safe now," he said. "You're on a human ship." She didn't reply. She didn't know if she could trust him. Her voice was dry, her mind full of fear. But the warmth felt good. She looked at her sleeping sister and held her hand. Captain Creed watched them with concern. Who were they? Why were they alone? No ID tags, no records, no language match. He tried every translator system. Nothing worked. They were not from any known species. He made food for them, simple and soft. The awake girl slowly started eating. Her hands shook, but her eyes watched. Everything carefully. She didn't trust anyone, not even herself. That night, as they rested, Creed sat in the control room. He checked the data logs from the pod. Corrupted, broken, erased, no location, no mission, no clue. Only one strange line remained. They must never return. Creed leaned back in his chair, his face serious. Something was wrong, very wrong. Suddenly, a red light flashed on the screen. Someone had locked onto his ship. An unknown signal was tracking them. He activated shields and went silent, but the signal kept growing stronger. It was searching for the pod, not his ship. Back in the med bay, the second girl woke up. She screamed loudly, her body glowing faintly blue. Creed ran in, shocked. The lights flickered, his systems blinked. She held her head and cried. "They're coming," she whispered, her voice finally working. "Who's coming?" Creed asked, but she couldn't answer. She passed out again. Captain Creed stood there in silence. He looked at the 2 girls, so young, so broken, so lost. He knew he couldn't leave them, even if it meant danger, even if it meant breaking every rule. He looked at the stars outside and muttered, "I don't know who you are, but no one's taking you again." In the distance, deep in the black void, a dark ship moved closer, its engine silent, its mission deadly, and it had found a trail. Captain Ryler Creed had fought in 3 wars. He had seen planets burn, soldiers scream, and cities fall into silence. But nothing had prepared him for the silence in his ship tonight. 2 alien girls were sleeping in the medbay, their skin marked with strange scars, their dreams filled with shadows. They looked peaceful, but something inside them was broken, and Creed couldn't stop thinking about it. He sat alone in the kitchen area, holding a warm cup of Zynth coffee. His eyes stared into the cup like it held answers. "What happened to you?" he whispered to himself. These girls, they weren't just abandoned, they were thrown away. Suddenly he heard soft footsteps. He turned his head slowly, surprised. The older girl was standing in the hallway, wearing an oversized shirt and a blanket wrapped around her like armor. Her eyes were half shut, but alert. She didn't speak, but her eyes asked the question, "Why am I still alive?" Creed stood up slowly, careful not to scare her. "You should rest," he said gently. She didn't move. He pointed to the table. "Hungry?" She sat across from him silently. He gave her a warm bowl of food paced simple, but real. She took it slowly at first, then faster. Creed watched her eat. Each bite was more than food. It was trust. It was life. After a while, she looked at him and spoke. Her voice was soft, broken, but in clear basic. "You are not like the others, Creed." Raised an eyebrow. "What others?" She lowered her head. "The ones with white masks, they watched us. They made us sleep, made us forget." Creed's eyes narrowed. He had heard whispers about secret programs. Human scientists working off-grid, doing dark things with alien DNA. It was illegal, buried deep in old military files. But now, it wasn't a rumor anymore. It was sitting right in front of him, eating soup. Just then, his ship's alarm beeped once. Soft, but urgent. He checked the screen. The tracking signal had moved closer, but now it wasn't just tracking. It was scanning. "They're coming." The girl said again. Her hands began to glow faintly like before. Creed's robot assistant scanned her quickly and reported, "Unknown energy type, matches no known tech. Organic and stable, but powerful." Creed stared at her. "What did they make you into?" He whispered. She looked up at him, her eyes glowing gently now. "We don't know. They never told us, but they called us failures." Creed clenched his jaw. "Failures don't survive in space, but you did." He stood up, walking toward the control deck. "You're not failures. You're someone's worst secret. And I don't care who's looking for you. They'll have to go through me first." Back in the med bay, the younger girl opened her eyes again. This time, she spoke. "In broken basic, Captain Creed," she said softly, "you are warm." Creed stopped in the hallway. He looked back at her and nodded. "I'm not warm, kid, just tired." But something in his voice said more. Something old, something real. He wasn't just saving them. He was changing because of them. And deep in the dark galaxy, that change had already started a fire. A message was sent from the dark ship. One sentence, encrypted but clear. Subject recovered. Prepare extraction, and the hunters were already close. She was dreaming again, but it didn't feel like a dream. The walls were white. The lights were cold. Voices echoed without faces. Metal hands held her still. A screen flashed symbols she didn't understand. Then pain, then sleep. The older alien girl woke up with a gasp, her breath heavy, her hands glowing again. This time the light pulsed with strange energy. Blue and alive. The younger girl sat up beside her. Scared but quiet, she touched her sister's arm and whispered, "It's happening again." Captain Creed ran into the room. He had felt the ship shake slightly, like something had surged through its circuits. "What did you do?" he asked, trying not to sound angry. The older girl looked at her hands, confused and afraid. "I don't know. It happens when I dream." Creed signaled his robot to scan her. The data was even stranger now. Her body was adapting, changing. It was like she was rewriting her own DNA in real time. "She's not just alien," the robot said. "She's something new." Creed sat down slowly, looking at the two girls. "You weren't just prisoners. You were experiments." The younger girl looked at him, her voice shaking. "They made us, but they didn't want us." Creed stood and walked to the control deck. He needed answers. He dug deep into old encrypted war records. Black sites, ghost labs, forgotten names, hours passed, files opened. Secrets spilled. Finally, one word hit him like a punch. Project Ghost Seed, a hidden lab. Built during the last galactic war. Goal, create bioweapons that looked innocent. Children, alien-human hybrids. Made to survive anything. But the tests failed, or so the world was told. All subjects were erased. Records deleted. except 2 had escaped. Creed looked back toward the medbay. "They're ghost seed units," he whispered. "No wonder someone's chasing them." Suddenly, alarms rang again. The enemy ship was close now, 1 hour away. It was big, armed and silent. No hails, no warnings. Just silent movement through space. Creed activated defense mode. He turned off every tracking signal and dropped into stealth. But it wouldn't hold forever. He looked at the girls, now sitting quietly in the corner. He had to prepare them. They couldn't stay weak forever. He took the older girl to the training room. It was small, dusty, but functional. "Focus," he told her. "Think about the light. Don't let it control you. Control it." She closed her eyes. Breathing slowly, the air around her shimmered. Her feet lifted slightly off the ground. Creed stepped back, amazed. She opened her eyes, glowing fully now. "I remember," she said softly. "They said I was broken, but I'm not." The younger girl watched through the glass. Tears in her eyes for the first time. Her sister looked strong, alive suddenly. The ship's power flickered again. The robot shouted from the control deck. "Unauthorized code detected. Someone is hacking us from the outside." Creed ran to the deck, typing fast. The enemy wasn't waiting. They were already inside his systems. He slammed the emergency lockdown, but it was too late. One final message flashed on the screen. "We have your location, Captain. You have what belongs to us." Creed growled under his breath. "They're not things. They're not weapons." He turned around. The older girl stood behind him now, her hands glowing brighter than ever. "I can fight," she said. "I want to fight." Creed looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Then let's make sure they never take you again." Far in the black, the enemy ship's weapons came online. The hunt was ending, but the real battle was just beginning. Asterisk space was silent, but inside Captain Creed's ship, silence felt like thunder. Red warning lights blinked across the deck. Shields were holding, but not for long. The enemy ship had arrived. It looked like a floating shadow, sharp black and made to kill without a sound. No logo, no flag, just a hungry machine. Built by humans who had forgotten mercy. Creed stared at the screen. He could hear his own heartbeat. This was no rescue mission, it was a cleanup. And the 2 girls on his ship were the evidence. In the med bay, the younger girl was hiding behind a crate. Shaking, the older one stood in front of her like a shield. Her hands glowed brighter with every heartbeat. She didn't know how to fly, or shoot, or fight with weapons. But something inside her told her she could protect. Creed walked in, calm but fast. He knelt beside the girls. "They'll try to board us," he said. "They'll take you, or destroy you. I won't let them." The older girl looked up. "What can we do?" Creed smiled faintly. "We run." He took them to the hidden bay. There, under a tarp, was a stealth fighter, old but fast. "I used this during the war," he said. "Now we'll use it to disappear." The plan was simple. Creed would fake a power failure, send a decoy signal with an empty escape pod. While the enemy scanned and chased it, he and the girls would leave in the stealth ship. Silent, fast, and invisible. He gave the girls small translator chips. Their voices became clear now. Simple words, soft voices, real pain. "You are helping us," the younger girl said. "Why?" Creed didn't answer at first. Then he spoke. "Because when I was young, someone helped me too." In the control room, the countdown began. The escape pod launched, making noise and showing fake life signs. The enemy ship turned slowly, following it like a shark sniffing blood. That was their window. Creed opened the hidden bay doors. The fighter ship powered up in silence. The girls sat beside him, eyes wide, hearts racing. And they launched. They flew under the shadow of the enemy, so close they could see its black surface glow with heat. But the stealth systems held strong. No alarms, no chase, not yet. But then, the older girl gasped. "I feel them," she said. "They know." The enemy ship suddenly changed direction. Its weapons locked on them. Creed pushed the ship hard, speeding toward a nearby asteroid. "Field, we've got one chance," he shouted. "Hide in the rocks or we burn." The fighter weaved through sharp stones and ice. One missile exploded behind them, shaking the controls. The younger girl cried out. Creed gritted his teeth. He had done this 100 times in war, but never with lives this fragile beside him. Then it happened. The older girl raised her hand. A blue field shimmered around the ship. Missiles curved away, confused. Systems on the enemy ship flickered. She had stopped the attack. Creed stared at her in awe. "You just jammed their systems with your mind." She looked tired, but smiled weakly. "I didn't mean to." The ship drifted into a dark corner of the field, hidden, silent, waiting. Creed looked at both girls. "You saved us," he said. "But now they know more. They'll send more ships. Faster, stronger." The younger girl leaned against him and whispered, "Will they ever stop?" Creed didn't answer. He looked at the star map, eyes narrowed. "No," he said. "Not until we stop them first." Far behind them, the enemy ship slowly turned back. Its captain sat in silence, watching the failed mission log. Then he spoke. One cold word: activate Omega response. Somewhere deep in space, a signal was sent, and Earth received it, not as a warning, but as a command. The stars looked peaceful, but space had never been kind. Captain Creed sat in his chair, staring at the quiet girls beside him. He had flown through wars, delivered cargo to dying planets, but nothing in his past had ever felt this heavy. The older girl rested her head on the glass, watching the stars pass. The younger one held her hand tightly, not speaking. Both were tired. Both were waiting for a truth they didn't understand. Creed's hands moved across the control panel. He wasn't flying now. He was searching for secrets that someone had buried deep in the past. He hacked into military black archives. Firewalls screened, systems pushed back. But Creed knew the tricks. He used to be part of that system, and now he was tearing it open. Then at last it appeared. One folder, locked with a level so high it didn't even have a name inside. Video logs, lab notes, test files, and photos. He clicked play. The screen showed a white room, 2 children, small, afraid, and alone. They were the same girls, but younger, wearing thin suits, heads shaved, wires in their arms. Scientists walked around them, writing notes, never looking into their eyes. A voice spoke in the video. Subject 13 and Subject 14 show high energy absorption, but no emotion detected. Keep emotional isolation active. Creed's jaw tightened. They were raised like tools. Not children, not people, just numbers. The younger girl leaned closer to the screen. Her eyes filled with water. "That's me," she whispered. "I remember that room." The older girl didn't speak. Her hand crushed the edge of the chair, glowing faintly blue. Creed turned the screen off and took a deep breath. "You weren't born," he said softly. "You were built." Inside a hidden Earth lab, called Project Ghostseed. The room went cold, not from the ship, but from the silence. The truth sat between them like a shadow. "They made you from alien DNA," Creed continued, "and mixed it with human code. You were designed to survive anything. They wanted weapons that looked innocent. But we're not weapons." The older girl said, her voice shaking. Creed nodded. "I know, but someone still wants you erased. Because you're proof. Proof of what humans did when the war made them monsters." The younger girl hugged her knees. "I don't want to go back." "You're not going back," Creed said quickly. "You're not lab subjects. You're people. And I'm going to protect you." But just then, a signal flashed on the screen. Encrypted, short, but clear. Omega command verified kill. Order active. Creed stood up fast. They activated Earth's purge code. "They'll hunt us down across the stars." He looked at the map. One name blinked on the screen: Exile Point. A hidden base run by former soldiers like him. Rogue. Loyal to truth, not orders. "We're going there," he said. "They'll help us." The older girl looked up. "What if they don't?" Creed looked her in the eyes. "Then we fight." As the ship changed course, The younger girl pulled a thin blanket around her shoulders. She was still a child, but one made to carry a galaxy's shame. In the dark space behind them, a new fleet of ships woke up, silent, black and fast. Each one marked with the same code, Ghost Seed Cleanup Division. The hunt was no longer about recovery. It was about deletion, and this time, it would go all the way to Earth. Asterisk, the stars were no longer silent. They were waiting, watching, holding their breath. Captain Creed's ship dropped out of stealth near a cold red moon. It was Exile Point, a forgotten space station floating in ruins. Old steel, cracked walls, broken signals. But Creed didn't bring the girls here for comfort. He brought them for war. Inside the main hangar, rusty lights blinked awake as his ship landed. Creed stepped out first, hand on his old pulse rifle. Behind him, the two alien girls followed. They weren't scared this time. They had chosen to stand beside him. From the shadows, old soldiers appeared, humans with scars, robotic limbs, and fire in their eyes. These were the ghosts, ex-soldiers who had turned away from the government long ago, and they remembered Creed. "Didn't think we'd see you again, Ryler," one of them said. "Last time, you left with a bullet in." "You're back," Creed nodded. "And now I've returned with something more dangerous." He showed them the girls, no words, just truth. The soldiers looked at them, then at each other. They knew. They had heard whispers, seen the labs, read the lies. "We'll fight," the leader said. "But if Earth sends Omega units, we'll need more than courage." Creed turned to the girls. "Show them," he said. The older girl closed her eyes. Her hands lifted slowly. Energy rose around her like a storm. It hummed in the metal, danced. On the walls, lights flickered, weapons trembled, even the wind stopped. Then it ended. She opened her eyes. "I don't want to hurt anyone," she said. "But I won't let them hurt us again." The soldiers stood in silence. One of them whispered, "She's not a weapon, she's the future." The next hours moved like fire. Creed and his old team repaired the station's defenses. Turrets came alive, shields powered up, the girls helped too. The younger one repaired circuits with strange instinct. The older one learned fast how to fly, how to focus, how to fight. Without hate, then came the signal. A fleet, 9 ships strong, approached from Earth Command. Fast, quiet, deadly, no demands. No diplomacy, only one message. Deliver the subjects or be destroyed. Creed stood at the edge of the control tower. He looked at the stars, and at the 2 lives behind him. "Let them come," he said. "This is the last stand, the first." Blasts hit the shields hard. The station shook. Alarms screamed. Inside, soldiers moved like lightning. Creed took the front line. His old fire returned. Not as a killer, but as a protector. The girls stayed behind at first, watching, learning, feeling the danger grow. Then something inside them snapped. Not fear, something else. The older one stepped into the chaos. She raised her arms, and a dome of pure blue energy covered the station. Missiles exploded in air. Ships lost control. She collapsed after, breathing hard, but alive. The younger girl sat by her side, and for the first time she cried, not from pain, but from pride. Creed helped the ghosts push the attackers back. One by one, the Earth ships fell or fled. They were not ready for this. Not for unity, not for truth. Not for 2 girls who were supposed to be broken. When the last ship exploded in the void, silence returned. This time, it was peace, real peace. Creed walked into the ruined hangar. The girl sat on the floor, glowing softly. He smiled. "You saved more than this station," he said. "You saved what's left of humanity, but deep in Earth's darkest chamber, a new order was already sent. A new weapon, not like the girls. Not made with hope, only hate, and it was coming." The stars blinked slowly, like tired eyes watching the end of a long, painful story. Captain Ryler Creed stood at the edge of the broken command deck. His armor was scratched, his face bruised, but his eyes were calm. Behind him, the 2 alien girls sat together, their skin still glowing faintly, their bodies weak but alive. They had done something impossible, not just survived, but chosen to protect. The battle was over. The fleet had been destroyed. The hunters were gone, but everyone on Exile Point knew this peace was only temporary. Creed looked up at the wide screen. One last message had arrived from Earth. Short, cruel, final. We will erase what we created. No more secret soldiers, no more witnesses, and no more running. From deep within the Earth's black vaults, a final weapon had been launched. It was not a ship. It was not human. It was something worse, cold, fast, and made of pure code. A living AI virus with one goal: clean the files, erase the truth. Creed knew what it meant. It wasn't coming for the girls' bodies. It was coming for their minds, to wipe their memories, their identities, their entire existence. He stood in silence, watching the stars, then turned and said one word: enough. He activated his ship's deep core engine, something no human had ever tried. He would burn his ship's soul drive to create a signal strong enough to destroy the AI before it reached them. But you'll die, the older girl said, her voice trembling. Creed smiled softly. Some stories don't end with heroes, they end with choices. The younger girl grabbed his hand. You gave us food, you gave us safety, you gave us a name. Tears slipped from her eyes. Don't go. Creed looked at both of them, then handed over a small cube. Inside it, his memories, his logs, his truth. Take this, he said. Find a place, any planet, and build a life. Be more than what they made you to be. The older girl stood. She looked at him with eyes that no longer feared the stars. We won't forget. She whispered, we promise. Creed entered the core room. The walls glowed white-hot. He placed his hand on the control panel. The countdown began. The girls were already in the stealth ship. The ghosts had helped launch it toward a safe, hidden world. A green planet with air and light and no labs. A place they could call home. Behind them, Creed's ship exploded silently in the void. The eye was erased. The memory wipe failed, and the truth survived. Years later, on a quiet blue hill, two young women walked under a bright sky. Their eyes were clear, their hearts calm. They wore simple clothes, laughed softly, lived freely. A small house stood nearby, built by hand. And above the door, carved into old metal, were the words, home is not where you are made. It's where someone says, you belong. And inside the house, on a shelf, sat the cube, still glowing, still waiting, still remembering. Captain Creed was gone, but his story, his choice, his voice lived on.